Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Illuminated Darkness. If you're anything like me, and I'm guessing that you are, you have seen numerous of the true story paranormal TV shows, and this list is huge. A Haunting, Paranormal Witness, My Ghost Story, My Haunted House, Ghost Adventures, The Haunted Collector, Ghost Hunters International, just to name a few. I could list them all, but we would be here for hours. Some of the shows are just too far out to believe, but on rare occasion, 2 or more shows will cover the same topic. Then you have to question, is it really real? Well, today we're going to look at one of those topics. Let's delve deeper into the Dybbuk Box. When I first saw the account of the Dybbuk Box, I found myself like so many others. Was it real or was it all a hoax? The first stop on my quest, of course, was the internet. Best source of information, right? Sometimes, but not every time. I tried to contact Jason Haxton, who I thought was the current owner of the box. Sadly, after the events of his life while he owned the box, Mr. Haxton has gone underground. But he left behind a book that was his account of what happened while he owned the box, his account of what he was told by past owners of the box, and his account of the box's history. I learned that Mr. Haxton was the 4th owner of the box. The 3rd was a college student who has basically just vanished off the face of the earth. And the 2nd owner, who purchased it from an estate sale from the original owner, was a man named Kevin Mannis. Mr. Mannis also wasn't available for information. Out of respect for their privacy, I have no intentions of attempting to reach out to them. And I'll ask to you, the listener, that you also respect their privacy and not attempt to locate or reach out to them regarding the topic. Currently, it has been stated that the box is in the possession of Ghost Adventurers creator and host Zach Bagans. Supposedly, he and musician Post Malone opened the box, and a series of unfortunate events befell Post Malone, leaving Bagans to rethink opening the box again on national television. The box is currently housed in Bagans' Paranormal Museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jason Haxton, a previous owner of the box, is museum director at A.T. Still University Museum of Osteopathic Medicine. He speaks on medical history and exhibits artifacts from the museum worldwide. Mr. Haxton has become a type of authority on the box. His book, The Dybbuk Box, is available at Amazon, Thrift Books, and through his website at http://www.dibbukbox.com. Both the book and the website were instrumental in my research of the box. The box was also the inspiration for the 2012 Sam Raimi film, The Possession. Mr. Haxton is listed as miscellaneous crew for the production. At any given time, you can search eBay and find haunted, cursed boxes. The search strings of Dybbuk Box spelled with a Y or an I, or haunted box will yield several results. When I searched, I got 76 results for Dybbuk Box using either spelling, 62 results for haunted Dybbuk Box, and 28 results for haunted Dybbuk Spirit Box. And no, I have no intentions of bidding on one or attempting to own one. I have enough in my life to deal with right now, and permanently, honestly. All 3 of the owners have reported similar unexplained experiences while in possession of the box. Sleep disturbances and insomnia, unexplained smells, unexplained bruises and scratches, unexplained hair loss, various infection of the eyes, and digestive issues. When he took possession of the box, according to Mr. Haxton, he tested it for toxic, biological, or chemical agents that could cause health issues. All of the tests came back negative. Mr. Haxton stated in his book that shortly after winning the auction, he began receiving emails from people wanting to come and see the box. Paranormal investigators and researchers, people wanting to take possession of the box, and individuals who, after reading and following the auction and doing research, suffering from the same afflictions as Mr. Haxton and the previous 2 owners. Having not had any paranormal experiences in his home prior to, Mr. Haxton and his family began seeing shadow figures, light tracers, hearing loud pops throughout the house once he brought the box home. Now, on a more personal note, when I began researching this topic, I began having some health problems of my own. I attribute it to stress, I attribute it to allergies, what have you. I don't think the box had any effect on me whatsoever, but as we all know, stranger things happen in life. While digging through research, I found, thanks to the Internet Wayback Machine, the auction listing on eBay. And this has the account from Kevin Mannis, the second owner of the box, the young college student that Jason Haxton purchased the box from. And Kevin Mannis's listing is as follows. All of the events that I am about to set forth in this listing are accurate and may be verified by the winning bidder with copies of hospital records and sworn affidavits that I am including as part of the sale of the cabinet. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole auction listing. If anyone would like the link, I will dig through my internet search history. I will find the link to the Wayback Machine for it. Mannis purchased the box at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon in September of 2001. And the estate belonged to a 103-year-old woman. And this woman who had passed was born in Poland, where she grew up, married, raised a family, and lived until she was sent to a Nazi concentration camp during World War II. Now, she was the only member of her family who survived the camp. Her parents, brother, sister, husband, 2 sons, and a daughter were all killed. She survived by escaping with some other prisoners and fleeing to Spain. She remained in Spain until the end of the war, when that's where she acquired the small wine cabinet. It was one of 3 items that she brought with her when she came to the United States. The other 2 was a steamer trunk and a sewing box. Mannis, seeing this as being a sentimental item, tried to return the box to the family, and they wanted no part of it. According to the decedent's wishes, she wanted to be buried with the box. However, being an Orthodox Jewish family, that was contrary to the rules. So it was sold instead. Mannis took the box back to his small furniture refinishing business, put the cabinet in the basement workshop where he intended to refinish it, and give it to his mother as a birthday gift. He opened his shop and left an employee in charge. This is the account of what happened while he was gone. After about a half hour, I got a call on my cell phone. The call was from my salesperson. She was absolutely hysterical and screaming that someone was in my workshop, breaking glass and swearing. Furthermore, the intruder had locked the iron security gates in the emergency exit, and she couldn't get out. As I told her to call the police, my cell phone battery went dead. I hit speeds of 100 miles an hour getting back to the shop. When I arrived, I found the gates locked. I went inside and found my employee on the floor in a corner of my office, sobbing hysterically. I ran to the basement door and went downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs, I was hit by an overpowering, unmistakable odor of cat urine. There has never been any animals kept or found in my shop. The lights didn't work. As I investigated, I found that the reason the lights didn't work also explained the sounds of glass breaking. All of the light bulbs in the basement were broken. All 9 incandescent bulbs had been broken in their sockets, and 10 4-foot fluorescent tubes were laying shattered on the floor. I did not find an intruder. However, I should also add that there was only one entrance to the basement. It would have been impossible for anyone to leave without meeting me head on. I went back up to speak with my salesperson, but she had left. She never returned to work after having been with me for 2 years. She refuses to discuss the incident to this day. I never thought of relating the events of that day to anything having to do with the cabinet. Mannis tried to blow it off and it not be paranormal, just coincidence. He started to refinish it, and he says that's where things got worse. In another excerpt, as I already indicated, I had decided to give the cabinet to my mother as a birthday gift. It was about 2 weeks after I made the purchase. I decided to get started refinishing it. I was surprised to find that the cabinet had a unique little mechanism. When you opened one of the doors, the mechanism causes the opposite door and the little drawer below to open at the same time. It is very well made. Inside the cabinet, I found the following items: 1 1928 U.S. wheat penny, 1 1925 U.S. wheat penny, 1 small lock of blonde hair bound with a string, 1 small lock of black or brown hair bound with a string, one small granite statue engraved and gilded with the Hebrew letters. I have been told that the letters spell out the word shalom. One dried rosebud, one golden wine cup, one very strange black cast iron candlestick holder with octopus legs. I saved all of the items in a box, intending to return them to the estate. The family has refused the items, so they will be included with the sale of this cabinet. Mannis decided to not refinish it. Instead, he cleaned the wood and rubbed some lemon oil on it just to leave it in its natural state. It was at that time he noticed there was a Hebrew inscription carved on the back of the cabinet. He gave it to his mother on October 31st when she came to the shop. They were going to go have lunch. And before they got to leave, he gave her the cabinet. She examined it and acted like she liked it. He was called away to make a phone call. He hadn't been gone more than 5 minutes when an employee came and told him there was something wrong with his mom. This is yet another account. When I went back to see what the matter was, I found my mom sitting in a chair beside the cabinet. Her face had no expression, but tears were streaming down her cheeks. No matter how hard I tried to get her to respond, she would not. She could not. It turns out that my mother had suffered a stroke. She was taken to the hospital by ambulance. She ended up suffering partial paralysis and losing her ability to speak and form words. She has since regained the ability to speak. She could understand things being said to her and could respond by pointing out to letters of the alphabet on a board to spell out words what she wanted to say. When I asked her the following day how she was doing, she teared up and spelled out the words, "No gift." I assured her that I had given her a gift for her birthday, thinking that she didn't remember. But she became even more upset and spelled out the words, "Hate gift." I laughed and told her not to worry. I told her I was sorry she didn't like the cabinet, and that I would get her anything she wanted if she would promise to get well soon. Again, Mannis didn't associate this with any type of paranormal activity relating to the box. The box was given to various family members. He ended up selling it, and when he sold it, it was returned with a note that says, "This has a strange darkness about it." He began having nightmares, and in these nightmares, he would find himself with a trusted friend, and then at some point the dream would change, and he would be looking at a very demonic hag who would then proceed to beat the living hell out of him, and he would wake up with bruises and marks where he had been hit. His family all discussed they had the same nightmare when they were around the box. So Mannis went ahead and sold it, and he sold it to a college student, and this is the college student's account. I was doubtful of the haunted box, and I still don't believe in the paranormal. What happened in August and September is likely coincidental, so I will relate it as I originally wrote it down in a log. Sunday, August 31st, 2003. Over the last week, something interesting, though possibly coincidental, items of note have come up. First, I share a house with 6 other people. We have been taking turns sleeping with the box in each of our rooms. 2 people are now complaining of burning eyes. One is listless and depleted of energy. Another has become spontaneously sick. In retrospect, I would say it was allergies. A few days after these ongoing annoyances started, the air outside our house was filled with small bugs for several hours. A Friday. Weird summer stuff. Last night, Saturday, we discovered that the box, now located in the back corner of the house, has come mostly open. Though it had been shut, and it seems unlikely that anyone could or would have touched it. Wednesday, September 10th, 2003. Though it seems possible to prove that the box is a direct cause of misfortune, we have definitely seen a tidal wave of bad luck. Strange odors now permeate the house. The dumpster out back overflows with trash and decay. One roommate suddenly got bronchitis, and I broke a finger. Several mice have died in the engine of one car, and more electronic devices seem to be dying every day. Xbox, toaster, TVs, and watches. The young man goes on to then describe he was losing sleep. He ended up living alone, and for whatever reason, his car was breaking down. He started seeing things, and then his hair began to fall out. but he didn't want the box anymore. He was done with it, and he listed it on eBay for sale, and this is how Jason Haxton came into ownership of the box. In reading Jason Haxton's book, I learned that there was so much more to the story than what had been shared. When Mannis's mother visited his shop in October 2001 and he gave her the gift and she had a stroke, he was on the phone with 911 and a couple entered the store. An employee politely told the couple there was an emergency and asked if they could please come back at another time. At this time, the couple stated, "No, we are not coming back at another time," and they proceeded to identify themselves as FBI agents and level their weapons at Kevin, his mother, and the employee. The following is Kevin's account of what happened. Shocked. What could I say? I was on the phone with the ambulance at the time. I just kind of watched in amazement as they put my 2 employees in handcuffs and came in. Literally 50 or 60 different FBI agents, Secret Service agents, Immigration and Naturalization agents, DEA agents, ATF agents, Portland policemen, county sheriffs, and probably a few I'm leaving out. Not because I want to, I just can't remember all of them. But they were all there. They came streaming through the front door of my little shop. While all the time, my mother sat crying like a statue in the chair. This place was maybe 15 to 20 feet wide by 30 feet deep. They came pouring through the door and right down into the basement, all of them with guns drawn, all of them with very serious attitude. It was very clear that this was not anything to poo-poo, so to speak. They were kind enough to allow me to keep telling 911 what was wrong with my mom and to ask them to send an ambulance. They were also kind enough to allow me to go downstairs after the ambulance did arrive to get medications that my mother had with her at the time. They said they were going to search the premises and take anything that had an electronic memory chip in it. And I asked why. I didn't get an answer. I never did get an answer. What I did get, almost a year to the day later, was a soft apology from them. No explanation as to why anything was taken or confiscated. I got everything back that they had taken, and there were volumes of things. Essentially, that event put me out of business. They took my cash registers, a laptop computer, my desktop computer, calculators, cameras, anything that had an electronic chip in it. They took all the discs that I used to compose music on, all discs with my records. My landlord contacted me a few weeks later and told me, "I heard about the police being here. I don't know what you are up to, but here's your notice. Your lease is ended. Pack up and move out." Huh? I had always been on good terms, paid my rent on time, and actually discussed with him the possible of expansion into the adjoining space. What had happened? According to the book, Kevin's shop was originally a mom-and-pop corner store. Kevin liked the name and never changed it. Kevin also stated that no one was ever charged in the raid, but there is still no reason as to why the shop was raided. Kevin Mannis also spoke of another incident in the building while the box was stored there. Well, I learned of an incident that took place while I'd been away at the beach for a couple of days. My family has owned, for years, a beach cottage, south of Portland. When I returned, I was opening the gate to my shop, I was approached on the sidewalk by one of the locals, one of the transients. He came up to me and said real accusingly, "You're going to end up killing somebody down there," pointing out one of the small windows, and I said, "What are you talking about?" The drifter said, "Listen, I know what you do down there. I saw it. We all know what you do down there." Again I asked, "What are you talking about?" He actually brought me over and pointed down. He said, "You see that? You can see right through there. You should watch what you're doing if you're going to be involved." I said, "Involved in what?" And what he described to me was 8 to 10 guys in dark coats and black hats in the basement dancing around having some sort of party. He actually described dancing in a circle, around and around, faster and faster, which is impossible because I was the only one who had access to my own shop. I was the only one who had a key, and I hadn't been there for 3 days. No one else had access. This guy was real adamant about the fact he had seen what he had seen. And I was real adamant about the fact that what he was saying was impossible. I certainly wanted to know if someone had broken in to my shop, so I listened. He just kept saying, You just got to be careful what you're doing down there because somebody's going to get killed. And that was it. We were joined by yet another gentleman, and oddly, he confirmed that what they had seen the previous morning around 4 o'clock in the morning. They got upset with all the noise and commotion and walked up the street to see what it was. And that was that. This, of course, at the time, was when the box was being kept in the basement. These accounts have been told to Mr. Haxton by Mr. Mannis, and with Mr. Mannis's help, Mr. Haxton was able to get more information about the history of the box. Kevin Mannis was able to locate the home where the estate sale took place, and it turns out the box was owned by the grandmother of a former classmate of Kevin's, and he was able to talk to Sophie, the cousin of the original owner, Havila. According to Sophie, Havila lost her husband and 3 children when the Nazi army invaded Poland during the 1930s. It was common practice to have seances as parlor games. Using a homemade Ouija board, Havila and her friends and cousin, which was Sophie's mother, summoned what they thought was a spirit guide. Through communications with this spirit, the spirit began asking them to bring it over. When the spirit became darker and more forceful about being brought over, they devised a ritual to bring the spirit into our world and to trap it in this box. It was through one of the first news stories about Mr. Haxton and the box that an inspiring young filmmaker contacted Jason Haxton. Through their email communications, the young filmmaker insisted that the box was all a hoax cooked up by Kevin Mannis to make a quick buck. The young man gave Mr. Haxton several names of people from a popular club in the Portland area where it was said that Kevin Mannis worked for a short time as a bouncer and enlisted a bartender to donate his hair for the box. Kevin Mannis has disputed these claims. Having had enough of the health issues, lights darting around, and dark shadow figures lurking in his home, Jason Haxton took the advice of a Wiccan practitioner that he had been in contact with and performed a ritual of protection. He then sealed the box away in a crawl space of a rental property that he owned. After the ritual, during his cleansing bath, which was also recommended to him by the Wiccan, his wife moved his clothes that he had worn for the ritual, and almost instantly she broke out in what could only be described as poison ivy, with the red, large, watery blisters. Having had enough of the box totally, Mr. Haxton had a box of acana wood lined with 24-karat gold built. This subdued the box, and it was moved into Mr. Haxton's den, sealed in its ark as a showpiece. Later, as an added measure of protection, the box, sealed in its ark, was moved to a shock-proof military-grade container and buried in an undisclosed location so it would not be discovered. Mr. Haxton stated in his book that he would not sell the book to anyone for any amount of money. But this isn't where the story of the Dybbuk Box ends. Mr. Haxton did end up selling the box for an undisclosed amount to Ghost Adventures creator and host Zach Bagans. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the box is now a part of Bagans' haunted collection at his museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Dybbuk Box has been sealed in a glass case and is not on display. In order to view the box, visitors must sign a waiver that releases Bagans and the museum from any liability in case any bad luck befalls the visitor during or immediately after viewing the box. Bagans claimed his own experiences with the box. Post Malone, who's a musician, has investigated and debunked haunting claims with the Ghost Adventurers teams. He visited the museum, and the two went into the room where the box is kept. Bagans stated he removed the protective case from over the box, and in his own words, "I didn't want to open it. I just wanted to take the case off. To make a long story short, we began hearing things. It is a very powerful item." Bagans then recounted what happened when he touched the box. "I remember putting my hand on the box, and at that exact moment, Post put his hand on my shoulder. At that moment it felt like something came through the box and into him. I began shaking. I began trembling. And this is kind of embarrassing. I began crying. I began screaming. And this is where he got me out of the room, forcefully." Both Bagans and Malone stated that they saw shadow figures both inside and outside of the museum after their encounter with the box. The next day, Post Malone sent Baggins a picture of a bruise that had appeared on his arm. Baggins believes that the bad luck Malone has had, which is the emergency landing of his flight, a car accident, and a robbery attempt, all took place after Baggins and Malone touching the box, have something to do with the box. Baggins was supposed to open the box this past Halloween on the Ghost Adventures live special that took place at his museum in Las Vegas, Nevada, but he decided against it and did not open the box, and I guess there were some really strange going on between him and his fellow investigator Aaron. A rabbi was called in, and according to what I've read in my research, the rabbi was basically just kind of humoring Zach. The rabbi really did not believe the hype. I don't know what to believe. I believe in the paranormal. I believe there are angels, there are demons, but those are my beliefs. Like always, I encourage you to take this information, do your own research, and form your own opinions. The Dybbuk Box, like I said in the beginning, became the inspiration for the Sam Raimi film The Possessed. But now it's time for our ultimate question. Does this seemingly harmless-looking wine cabinet actually house a malevolent spirit? Is it a masterly crafted hoax and people's imaginations are just running away with it? What do you think? Do your own research, form your own opinions, and join us again next time for another mind-bending episode. And until we meet again, keep your eyes and your mind open and try to stay out of the darkness.